welcome to Chapter Chumps, what is typically a reading podcast where three guys read a book and then talk about it. My name is Connor. I'll be your host. I'm joined as ever by my two co-hosts, Connor and Josh.
Hello.
A few months back, we got done reading The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings for mostly
We finished reading The Hobbit over a year and a half ago.
Has it been that long?
I think so.
It
took us a while to get through Lord of the Rings.
At a certain point, it's like time just doesn't, it kind of loses meaning. You know, a few months, a year and a half, I don't know.
Time keeps on slipping.
Yes.
Slipping.
Into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
At any rate, really what I'm trying to say here is the three of us together have read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and we had our discussions on it in 2-chapter increments that you could find on our very podcast feed on Chapter Chumps, wherever you get your podcasts. So, that's kind of just to establish our cred outright. We are actually going to be having a discussion today on a movie, which we also tend to do.
And that's the opposite of a book.
Yes, scientifically.
Yep.
On the spectrum of what things are, book and movie are diametrically opposed.
Total opposite ends.
Complete opposite ends. And right in the middle is that little thingy that you could like look through and you click it and whatever that is.
They had a giant version of those at Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studio last weekend. So I just find it funny you brought that up.
Yes. What is that thing called?
It's
like something O-Vision. I don't remember the exact.
Yeah, it is.
It's not Smell-O-Vision.
No, it's not. That's from Futurama.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
No, Smell-O-Vision was a thing before Futurama.
You have Futurama to credit for that, buddy.
I don't. I think they maybe utilized the concept. I don't think they invented it.
You're right. I might be thinking of the Smelloscope. So
it's the smell. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so us three, we have read the books, all right, and we have opinions. Yeah. We have thoughts. If you cut us, do we not bleed? You know what I'm saying? And today on the podcast, we are going to be discussing the latest Lord of the Rings tangential movie, War of the Rohirrim. Rohirrim?
Yeah, I was going to say they pronounce it differently in the movie.
Yeah.
Rohirrim.
I'm never sure how to pronounce it. I just been saying Rohirrim.
I think Rohirrim probably is how you say it, but I think Rohirrim sounds cool.
Rohirrim feels better, Rohirrim.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. What are you going to do? Something else worth mentioning before we really kick off, but this is our first episode of Chapter Chumps in which we are recording ourselves. So please be on the lookout for. You might be looking at us right now as I'm saying.
Possible. I mean, really, what this
our
is.
Voices for about 3 years now.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, visually, we are recording ourselves. This is really kind of a test run for the Chapter Chumps video podcast. So hopefully it goes well. So far, so good, honestly. We had a slight hiccup in the beginning, but we got our shit together.
It's all sorted out.
Warned me we'd be using a new program today.
Yeah, well, you got to expect the unexpected, Josh. Yeah. Connor, do you have the Smell-O-Vision up and running yet?
I'm still working on that. That should be good in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Just a few tweaks.
All right. Honestly, I'm relieved because I'm a few days out from my last shower. I don't know if you could tell.
Yeah. No. Well, I can't tell because we don't have Smell-O-Vision.
Yes. Oh
yeah.
Wow. Thank God.
So. Yeah. I mean, it could be next week. Could be a month or two from now. But
I'll probably have showered by then.
Yeah. Hopefully
you'll be 2 months out.
Hopefully, you'll be washed up by then.
2 months from now, who can say? But
probably. It's hard to know.
Don't worry, we'll all be washed up.
So yeah, and this also is kind of I guess our next season of the podcast in a way. Here we are,
Yeah.
we're making it just into this first month of the new year,
Yeah, this is
2025.
our first episode of the new year, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah.
For Chapter Chumps, yeah. Unless you I was gonna say unless you count the Knuckleheads thing but no, that was in December.
That was last month, yeah.
So
Last year.
yes, this is our truly our first episode of the new year.
Yeah.
Maybe just last bit of housekeeping, but sort of on that note, because like I said, we do talk about books. Look forward to our upcoming chapter discussions of The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. That's the next book that we are going to be reading together and breaking down in classic Chapter Chumps fashion. So
Perhaps coming as soon as next week if our schedules don't fuck up again.
Yeah.
Mayhaps.
Yeah. Mayhap or haps it will,
May the haps be with you.
Yeah, and also with you. Josh, I do kind of feel like I'd be remiss to not ask you about your most recent trip/vacation on that very note of may the haps be with you. Josh, you were just in Disney World.
I was.
That is what I'm talking about. That is why we set the video up.
I was gonna say
this is my custom lightsaber, or rather,
this
the one I
moment
built.
was made for video.
Wow, the
for
lightsaber
those,
looks really good on the video.
It looks awesome. It does. For those listening, not watching, Josh is holding up a real lightsaber, and just be careful because if it gets too close to your face, you'll slice it right off. Careful there.
Wow.
He almost sliced his finger off.
Pretty sweet.
That's
Josh,
awesome.
Can you tell us a little bit about the custom lightsaber construction experience at Disney World?
Very expensive, but worth every penny.
Hmm.
So I paid for it last month. In that I sent the additional cost to my aunt who was paying for the trip on top of the cost for my tickets for the 3 days we were in Disney World. So technically, when I went to Disney World this past weekend, I had a brand new month worth of budget that I could spend, and boy, did I do that. So I have I think 5 other kyber crystals that I can plug into this lightsaber, which I haven't done yet. I've kept the green one that I got at the experience. I got a holocron. I got a model T16 that's like the same model that Luke's flying around with in his garage in episode 4.
Yep.
But I had to ship that because it wasn't going to fit in my luggage. I almost didn't get the lightsaber home. I had to use my carry-on for the lightsaber, which they give you this carrying case as soon as you leave the workshop, and it's really nice, except that fabric just started disintegrating after a couple days for some reason. So I just kind of I was in the airport just kind of pulling thread off the woven fabric. It was really weird.
Is that why you have the
that's why I had the shaver out, because I realized I have the shaver right here. I can just try to knock it down a bit.
Coming together. I gotcha.
Yep. The hilt is very hefty. It's got real weight to it. It's probably, I don't know, 2.5 pounds. If I guess. It's real metal as far as I can tell, except for the core, which had some plastic in it. The kyber crystal's obviously like a plastic with a computer chip in it. But the blade disconnects. I think they have different sizes. But it's super light. It just plugs right in. The lightsaber makes a neat sound when it plugs in too. That's if you try to turn it on without the blade installed, it does that.
Whoa.
But it makes that noise.
I see.
So I need to make a display case or display stand for it. I'm thinking of mounting it on my wall like this, so that the blade's going up. But yeah, I'm really happy. The experience was really, really cool. They walk you through the whole process, and then they have you step back, and the helpers plug it into the blade for the first time, and then they have you ignite the blade and lift it up. but of course mine didn't ignite. I got a busted
You
blade
got
on the
it
first
done,
try. Yeah, so I mean, that just cemented this is my lightsaber. I mean, it would not be my lightsaber if something didn't go wrong.
Yeah.
And then they to their credit, they were on top of it. Like within 10 seconds, they had a new blade ready to go. And then after they like ushered us out, they're like, "Hey, can you stay for like 30 seconds for like another minute or two? We'll just double check your blade, make sure there's nothing wrong with it." And they took the lightsaber, made sure everything was fine before giving it back to me, which was great. And then I spent most of the rest of the day walking around with a lightsaber on my back. And like the first time I get back to Galaxy's Edge after going off to have lunch, or no, before I had lunch, my brother wanted to try the blue milk that they had there, which I had a sip of. It was very floral, like fruity kind of flavor. It was weird.
That's why Luke likes it so much.
But as he's like trying that, I turn around. There's a couple of First Order stormtroopers walking up, and they're like, and they stop me to like inspect my lightsaber in the case which I had on my back. I just stood there like standing my ground, and the stormtroopers like assessing the threat level or something like that, and he just kind of like leans in to look at the lightsaber, leans back and just does this in my face, and Teddy lost it. My brother, he's just laughing his ass off as the troopers are walking away, and the troopers have to turn around and be like, calm down for like a good 30 seconds.
Wow. Josh, did you consider igniting your lightsaber and trying to slice the stormtroopers in half?
It was in my pouch, and I have been told by the people in the workshop that you're supposed to keep it a secret.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Gotcha. Otherwise, you probably get dragged off and thrown into Disney jail?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, what he said, "Is that a lightsaber?" I said, "What's that?" And then he was just... So I don't think he heard me because he had a stupid helmet on. But no, yeah, the whole time there was fantastic. We went on the Millennium Falcon ride, and I got to pull the hyperspace lever a couple times. We kind of sucked at piloting, even though I had up and down. It felt like I had very little control over it. And Teddy had left and right, and was very bad at figuring out that we had to go left to get behind the thing we were chasing.
Yeah, blame it all on your brother. Okay.
I mean, the guy behind us on the engineering or something was like super mad at us, which was fucking hilarious.
No, that's classic Teddy. Come on.
Yeah.
And then, so we did that in the morning. Also, the Hondo animatronic was really cool. But what was really awesome was the Rise of the Resistance ride. And that was worth the wait to get on with the Lightning Lane, because we had it like 6:40 p.m., so it was dark. And we're in line for all of 5-10 minutes before they send us through the like staging area. And then it's like they open it up, and there's Poe Dameron's X-Wing with a Poe Dameron mannequin in it. They're like ushering you onto this ship to like get off the planet really quickly. And it's like a really cool experience. It's like, oh, this is the ride. And you get in, and you're just like in another room, but it's a ship, and there's like some animatronics and screen stuff going on to be like, oh, you're taking off, and you can feel the ship kind of shaking as the First Order shows up and starts shooting at you. But it's all standing room, so it's like, all right, they're not going to do anything too violent because everyone's standing. They're not going to get a lawsuit from somebody getting thrown into a subway pole or something. And it's like, oh, you get abducted by the First Order. They pull you in with a tractor beam, and it's like, all right, they loaded us in from the right-hand side of the ship. They're going to unload us from the left-hand side of the ship. I see how this is going. But then the right hand of the ship opens up, and where there was a, like, dark, the fucking dark, like, landing pad on the planet that they modeled Galaxy's Edge off of, you're now in a stark white First Order hangar bay. And there is no sign of any seams or anything. And it's like, holy shit, how did they do that? Why is it? There's literally a First Order officer standing right there berating us for being spies. They point out somebody else. There's 3 rows of stormtroopers behind them just standing there. They're just mannequins, but it's still kind of intimidating. And we're just kind of walking around. They walk us down a hallway. It's this whole experience. And then they throw us in a fucking prison cell. And then the ride starts. Then the wall behind us starts to glow, and there's no scene when you walk in. You can't tell there's anything that's going to happen there, and it's just all of a sudden you see a glow on the top. It's like the fucking door getting blown off in the beginning of New Hope, except it pulls out. And there's a couple first resistance fighters who are stowed away on the Star Destroyer and are getting you out with a reprogrammed droid, and that's when the ride starts, and that's when you get to like go under the feet of some AT-ATs. That's when Kylo Ren starts to chase you, and there's a one scene where the lightsaber comes through the ceiling, and you don't see anything in the ceiling until the lightsaber goes through, and it looks like a real lightsaber, and it starts to like carve a circle through the ceiling, and it's like, holy shit, how do they do that effect? And aside from a couple motion like screen rides at the very end, it was like a whole 10-15 minute experience. That was just above and beyond. And there's very little at Disney World today that can actually make me say, how did they do that, and really impress me on that level. And Rise of the Resistance absolutely did that. So I wish I could say the same thing about the 2 Pandora rides we tried at Animal Kingdom, which were good rides, but the like flying one was like great mechanics. I loved the whole way it was set up. It's just that the visual didn't work for me for some reason. They give you like 3D glasses that just would not stay in focus, so I felt nauseous towards the end. And then the other was a riverboat ride that, while nice, was a riverboat ride, and hardly worth the hour-long wait we stood in line for that one. The other ride I was really impressed with was the Tron roller coaster in Magic Kingdom, and that was so much fun. And well, if you can get a lightning lane for that, or just it was worth standing in line for the 75 minutes that we were standing in line that evening. We did it at night, and Ted and I were the line really hides how long it is, but once you're on the ride, it is fast, it is sharp turns, it is just a great roller coaster. So would highly recommend that one if you can get a lightning lane for it too. And also lightning lanes, holy shit, it's been like 10 years since I went to Disney World. Worth the cost.
That's the new fast pass.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like setting up a reservation for getting in line, and it cuts down like hour-long wait times to maybe 10 minutes tops. I don't think we ever waited more than 10 minutes in a lightning lane.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a pretty big experience with a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. And the whole reason I went was to be with my niece, who was going to Disney World for the first time ever, and she had a mostly okay time. She didn't like the dinosaur ride at Animal Kingdom. That kind of scared her. She wasn't a big fan of didn't want to go on any of the roller coasters, so Teddy and I kind of ended up being on our own for like half the time.
How old is she?
9.
No, okay, 9. Yeah.
Yeah. So she liked the Goofy roller coaster that she went on when Ted and I went on Space Mountain. But I think we may have kind of messed up a bit and didn't spend as much time with her as we probably should have. But I think she had fun at the end.
No, I'm sure she had a blast.
Yeah. Also, she was kind of like wiped out by the end of the day each day. So like the
Yeah.
rest of the group would go home, and Ted and I would stay like another 2 or 3 hours till the park closed.
It can be exhausting for kids.
Yeah. So she missed all the super awesome end of day shows at Hollywood Studios and the Magic Kingdom. Holy shit, we got within like almost a little left of center of the castle for the Magic Kingdom and evening show at like 8 o'clock. And it was fantastic. Like the castle was all projected over, the fireworks were perfectly timed everywhere, there were lasers and great music. It was.
Did you see Tinkerbell fly?
Yep,
Yeah.
saw that. Didn't get a great photo though.
Did
A
you
real person does that?
It's a real person on a wire. Well, flying
Yep.
with wings.
with the magic of believing.
Yes, exactly. Did you see Fantasmic?
Yes, the one in Hollywood Studios. That was great.
I love Fantasmic.
I got this great shot on my camera of there's this one part where Jafar shows up as the giant snake version of himself, and it's just Mickey on stage, like looking terrified as this giant cobra head of Jafar has these giant spotlight eyes beaming out over the audience. It's so cool.
Nice.
So yeah, I took a lot of photos. I also took some great photos of the Indiana Jones experience.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty cool.
Got some great photos of that. oh my god, we went on Expedition Everest like first thing in the morning when we were in Animal Kingdom. Like it was literally like we got into the park, we meandered our way until we found a Moana like character meet that my niece wanted to do. And then as soon as that was done, Teddy and I realized there's only like a 10-minute wait at Expedition Everest, so we just kind of left our bags with the family and then booked it all the way over there and got on Expedition Everest. We went to Expedition Everest and came back in the span of about 15 minutes, which was insane. And
Gotta go fast.
Later that day, it was like a 75-minute wait for the rest of the day.
Wow, you really
we didn't landing late or anything like that. That was just a
what
lucky on it.
Anyways, thanks for listening to Disney Dudes.
Yep.
This is
and I got a high score on the Buzz Lightyear ride.
I'm bad. I'm bad at that fucking ride. I love it, but I'm very bad.
I love
at
it.
That.
I looked up the high value targets in the line, and so I was just aiming at those the whole time. But I got so close to maxing out the score.
Connor, that's pretty much it's pretty much like mobile laser tag, like vehicular laser tag.
Yeah.
Connor, have you been to Disney?
Yeah.
No, I've never been to Disney in my life.
You need to make a trip at some point.
I don't know. I feel
Connor,
like I'm past the point where like
No, just
I'm
like
30
go by
and I
yourself.
had a fucking blast.
I know, no, it's just like I used to want to go. Like I used to want to go.
Don't you want to drink blue milk?
I don't know. Now ever since I've
go for that. Don't go for that. Go for just the experience of being at literally the happiest place on earth.
That might be the one reason to have a kid.
And save up a lot of money before you go, because like set a budget.
Yeah. The happiest place on earth though? I don't know.
Tijuana.
I mean, Josh, maybe you didn't drink the blue milk, but you might have had just a bit of the Kool-Aid, huh?
I mean, you kind of have to when you go to Disney World. But it's like
I know.
And it's like,
here I am on my high horse. I've never been.
Yeah.
I know.
No, but you're just walking around and it's like, oh look, there's Ray and Chewbacca, or oh, there's Peter Pan and Wendy walking by in the Magic Kingdom, or the fucking bird from Up in the Animal Kingdom.
The bird from Up.
I saw the Mandalorian at Galaxy's Edge just walking through with a Grogu puppet.
Yeah,
awesome.
I would fucking tell him, get a better show, dude.
Yeah.
You know? Why do I care if Din Djarin is walking around?
Okay, guys, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a Chapter Chumps field trip to Disney, and we're gonna have Connor just talk shit to all of the.
We're just gonna harass and berate every employee.
No, that's how you end up in Disney jail.
We'll see how long we can last. Disney jail is not pretty.
Yeah,
I've heard stories.
I've heard it's real, right?
Yeah,
like
I do
real. Think
we saw
Disney
Cops.
That they
we saw Disney Cops.
Yeah. So.
And one more thing I want to mention before we get off this tangent, because I could talk about it all night. But there was this one store in the Magic Kingdom that Teddy and I walked into when we were doing our souvenir shopping at the end of the day. It was like a crystal shop, and I just went in there thinking like, oh, I'll try to find something for my mom's birthday and as a small thank you for watching Nova while I was away. And we get in there and quickly realize that everything in there is incredibly expensive. Like, even by Disney standards, incredibly, insanely expensive. I'm talking 6-inch like crystal figures of characters from various Disney properties that were over $300 per figure.
Wowzers.
Yeah. And like bejeweled figures that had 4 or 5 figure prices. And the biggest item of all was a 3-foot tall model of Cinderella's castle, the one in the Magic Kingdom, all bejeweled out with like tiny crystals or actual gemstones. I could not tell you. The price tag on it was an etched crystal like this big that was like set down on the same display case that was rotating it around. $285,000. That is more expensive than the house I am currently sitting in as we record this. And the cashier who helped us check out with the 2 cheapest items we could find, which was a shot glass for Teddy and a tiny little like rose from the Beauty and the Beast ornament that I got for my mother. The cashier told us that she had sold 6 of those things in the last 3 years.
Wow.
And I was first of all, exhausted because I've been walking around 3 Disney parks with camera gear on my back. So I just wanted to collapse at that point. But I was also like flabbergasted, like, holy shit, who is spending that kind of money? And I'm so sorry this woman did not get a commission for that.
Yeah, jeez. I'm still a little hung up on the shot glass for Teddy thing. That's kind of a...
Yeah, he's 21 now. He's able to do that. He collects small shot glasses.
No, he's
actually.
not. He's
He
15.
graduates.
Connor,
He graduates in May.
Teddy
from college.
collects shot glasses. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, wild! It has been too long since I've seen that guy.
For when he gets older, right?
No, Connor, we're old. It's happened. It's been happening.
I don't know about that.
So, anyways, Josh, thank you for regaling us of your time.
Yeah, sorry I went on
Disney.
so much of a tangent. That was like a 20-minute tangent on
Oh, no, it's
Disney
okay.
for our
we
Lord of the Rings.
We
movie
planned for
conversation in our
that. That was the time that you were allotted. If you went over, I would have told you. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, here's a good segue, guys, from Disney to our topic of discussion. But Josh mentioned seeing Rey around, and anyone else get major Kylo and Rey vibes from this movie?
That was not a good segue.
Anyone else get major Kylo
you
and Rey
said it was
vibe?
going to be a good segue, and it was not.
It's
a good segue.
It was a good segue. It was like a really
Wow.
good segue.
A little bit though.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Raylo.
Yeah. Let's. Wow. Okay. So we are about to talk about this movie.
So, real quick, when did you guys watch this movie?
I started watching it last night and fell asleep, not due to the quality of the movie. I was just tired. And then today, when I got home from work, I just rewatched it from the beginning. So I saw it today.
All right.
Yeah, I watched it today, and I almost fell asleep due to the quality of the movie.
There we go.
And
There it is.
but
it is.
I
Here we
finished
go.
it.
Okay.
I watched it in the theater on December 28th. So, almost a full month ago at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I went on a whole Disney movie binge for like 2 weeks. So I did not have. And then I went to Disney World.
Right.
So
And
I had no
one knows why Josh went on the Disney movie binge. It will forever remain a mystery as to why he did it.
I mean, why would someone try to watch all the Disney movies he's missed before going to Disney with his niece, and would have to understand what the hell is going on in Moana 2? But yeah.
What is going on in Moana 2? Can you?
You don't want to know.
Okay.
Quick synopsis. A new gang gets together.
No.
Okay. They had to save the world again. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
And The Rock's in it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And Alan Tudyk.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Leaf on the Winds. Love that guy.
Yeah, and K2SO and the fucking chicken of Moana.
Wow. It's the more you know, huh?
Yeah.
Josh, as I was watching this movie, I was really thinking to myself, man, I wish I watched this in theaters. And it's a little bit maybe because of what Connor, I think, is jokingly, but I also think seriously alluding to, which is that, I don't know. This movie wasn't as good as I kind of hoped it would be. And I felt like, man, if I saw it in a movie theater, I at least think I would have liked it a bit more.
Yeah, it was a weird mix of, let's say the story was okay. It wasn't like the actual Lord of the Rings trilogy quality, but it was a decent prequel as far as I was concerned. The ending kind of shoehorned in a couple references that I was rolling my eyes at, but also like, oh, okay, whatever. I mean, they had to do that because of what this movie is. And the animation is what really, like, I had issues with, because it looks beautiful. Every frame looks beautiful. The actual motion is what kind of fucks it up. Like, the fight scenes were okay, but there were times where it's like, this one part where she's, like, running into the forest right before she meets the big monster in the lake, where
Yeah.
it just kind of sits on a panning like nature shot for like 30 seconds before she shows up. It's this huge break in the action. It's like, okay, I guess they're just padding out the runtime there. And there are other times where like it feel like it's going from like a higher frame rate, smooth motion to super jittery or like rough like twos or threes animation. Um, so yeah, it's just
Yeah.
there'd be a lot of camera movement that didn't have to be there, um, and it was just a little weird.
Yeah, I'm happy to start with that topic on the animation because that's one of my biggest issues here too. And um I think as I talk about this, it's probably going to sound a little bit like old man yelling at cloud because I think
Yes.
my gripe is kind of with the larger anime industry in general. Um but the ways in which like modern trends of anime um has seeped is too generous a word, has completely like dominated this movie. Like this movie is only modern animation, and you might be saying like, yeah, well, it came out in the modern day. um but I felt like I was duped a little bit, and maybe that's my problem, but I kind of thought that I was getting into um essentially I thought there would be hand-drawn animation. And as far as I can tell, this movie is made to look like it has hand-drawn animation, but I am almost positive, having watched it, that everything is just a computer generated 3D model that is made to look like 2D flat animation. Like the character models, the way that they
Yeah.
move. This is not people drawing shit. This is made in a fucking computer from the ground up, the whole goddamn thing. And that first, the movie starts, and you get this really nice narration, and you kind of get like this, like sort of like the Tolkien map, and then like
Yep.
that fades away into you know the
Super,
landscape.
which
Yes,
is like super detailed. I thought it was
exactly my
live
point,
action for a
Josh.
minute.
Exactly my point. It just looks like real life. It's
Yeah.
essentially hyper realism, and then the eagle swoops in, and it's like, oh, so we're doing this. It's right from the get go, like the first 20 seconds of the movie. It's pretty much just like this is what this is going to look like the whole time, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, this is not what I thought I was signing up for.
Yeah. And there were times where it felt like it was settling into a more traditional 2D style, but then something would happen, like the camera would move in a weird way or something, and
Yeah,
it wouldn't quite work. But
I mean, it's meant to be a hybrid style, I think. I don't,
yeah, no, it is. And I'm curious, Connor, when you say when you said traditional animation, are you imagining people like drawing physical frames, like frame by frame, or or would you accept like what I do with my illustrations that I do in my free time, um, which is computer 2D animation or 2D
Connor
drawing?
Connor wants the boy and the heron, Spirited Away.
I guess
Well,
my point is,
Um,
when you say computer, are you referring to 3D CGI, or are you just referring to anything that is done with illustration
no,
on a computer?
I am referring more to 3D CGI kind of stuff
Okay.
because even in those Ghibli movies that Connor's talking about, there is computer animated elements. I think starting from like Princess Mononoke within the Ghibli films, like Miyazaki starts experimenting with incorporating digital elements, and so not that that should be the standard for like that's pretty top tier, but
but
this
that's
it felt
kind
like
of what
it felt like they didn't even try. Like
it's kind of what they were aping, though. I feel like that was obviously anime is anime, and but it felt like in the previews or the trailers that I watched, they were kind of aiming for a higher caliber animation than what it
It's a
ended up
movie. They
being.
kind of have to.
Yeah. I mean, I think so too. And the thing is that like the character models themselves and everything, like I do think that the style looked good. And I'm not trying to say that the whole thing was like some chore to get through. I do think that
Right.
there's some good shots in here and stuff, but too often I was distracted by either things that I don't know. Um, there were just
Uncanny
things.
Valley, but with like
Well,
motion.
there are things in it that I think like having watched anime too, like you kind of see the ways in which it's funny because you would think that like no expense would be spared on a movie like this, and yet all I could see are the ways in which the corners were constantly cut. I don't know if
Mhm.
you guys noticed this, but anytime there was any fire effect on
I was about to say,
screen,
were you talking about the fire?
I couldn't believe how bad it looked.
Yeah.
Anytime there was a torch, anytime there was a fire in the hearth, the fucking
Yep.
scene where Hera kills the traitor dude and then the torch falls on like the hay and the stable is on fire and there's like this shot of Hera on the ground and like the place is lighting on fire behind her
Yep.
looked like so bad. I just have to imagine someone somewhere feels ashamed that like that is what that scene looks like. It was that bad. I kind of it's not that I couldn't believe it like, oh man, it's so egregious. It's more just like this is Lord of the Rings. If any property should have the budget to, and I think about this with Star Wars too, with like the shows they make sometimes, even though I haven't been watching them as much. But it's like if anyone should have the money to throw behind a project like this, shouldn't it fucking be the people who own Lord of the Rings? Like what the fuck? So
I think
yeah.
it's clearly now meant to be a budget release to keep the franchise in the minds of the viewers. And so here for me the animation was no problem just because my the thing that I kept on comparing it to, crack open, what you drinking?
I can just show you. Check it
Beast
out.
of both worlds.
There you go.
Beast of both worlds. Very cool. Is and Josh has seen some of these too. Some of the Doctor Who animations where they reconstruct missing episodes from the
Oh
audio and
yeah.
they animate them. And those are some of the worst animations I've ever seen in my entire life, and they're god awful. Um, and so I don't know. I wasn't expecting something that bad, and this is a few good levels ahead of those. But it even from the trailer, which I said was kind of maybe aiming for a higher caliber kind of thing. I always got the impression that this was like essentially if it came out in 2006, it would be a straight to DVD release.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe I was getting, and so I think I don't know for something like that. I think it's fine. I think it was
Yeah.
always meant to be a budget friendly release. Um, but it does make you kind of think like, well, they could do so much in this world with actual good animation or with more
Yeah.
time, more budget. I think there's so much potential there.
There is. That probably is if there were one thing that I think is like my biggest gripe about the movie, I think it's exactly that, Connor, which obviously has nothing to do with the plot of this film at all. But the most disheartening thing for me was watching it and thinking like this is just such a squandered uh opportunity, you know.
Yeah.
Um some of that does a little bit maybe have to do with the plot, but the thing is like I could forgive like a basic by the numbers sort of story if it were told in a way that felt like it took advantage of the medium, and
Totally.
it's just not at
Yeah.
all. So if
Yeah.
it's going to fail on both fronts, then it's like, what was the purpose of this exercise? You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
for me, you know, the actual animation, was, you know, again, it wasn't at the forefront of my mind because for me, the story was. I mean, it's very basic, and these are characters that I don't care about
mm-hmm.
at all. It didn't it didn't reel me in at any point. It was a pleasant enough way to spend 2 hours, I guess, but that's about it.
So,
It did not do much for me.
Yeah.
so speaking of 2 hours, I want to say I saw this at a Regal theater, specifically Crossgates, and holy shit, has Regal lost the fucking plot on what the movie experience is supposed to be like? We sat down maybe 2 to 5 minutes after the advertised start time of the movie. We sat through 25 minutes of commercials, just like standard commercials, before the trailers started to roll. And it's like, no, the advertised movie start time is when the trailers roll, guys.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
how it's been for literally decades. If not
thousands of years.
Well, no,
Since
but
time immemorial.
right, but like the commercials stop at the advertised movie time. The commercials are for the people who got there early,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
not for the people who are expecting to be 20 minutes into the fucking movie by the time you stop the commercials.
No,
No,
that's
absolutely.
honestly, you know, that's the kind of shit. You know, all I'm gonna say is CEOs have been sweating a little more than usual lately, and that's the kind of shit that I think they got to be fucking looking twice behind their back for. You know, if you're the one who's at the top of the food chain and you're the one who's playing the commercials at the start of the advertised start time, let's just say you have cause for concern.
Well,
my friend.
and here's the thing: there's a big rumor that I've heard about is this Mario sequel that's coming out. Luigi apparently is going to be the star, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway,
Let's go. Let's go.
that's an
Yeah.
insane amount of commercials, though, Josh.
Yeah,
I don't know if I have any Regals around me, but it's
used
bad. Yeah,
I
it's
used to
bad
really
everywhere.
like Regal, but
Yeah.
now, like, honestly, the best experience I've had with movies is with the Picture Show, which is a much smaller chain. But they, like, I went to go see Moana 2 at Picture Show, like a week and a half ago. Basically, walked in. I was the only one in the theater, but just walked in, sat down, had better seats than the Regal, and the trailers played like as soon as the start time was advertised. Like I don't know what to say. It was exactly what I expected, but with better seats.
Yeah, you gotta find the non-chain theaters. Um, my favorite currently is Holiday Cinemas.
Is that the one where we went to go see Sonic?
No, that was Metro Movies.
Oh, right. The only issue is that they don't have the biggest screens, which
Yeah,
I
that
would
was
prefer, but what can you do?
Connor
You know-
goes. Connor always goes to the AMC in Times Square.
No. No, I,
It's
I,
insane.
I go to IFC. I'm a fancy city guy.
Goes to the AMC in Times Square.
I'm a fancy city guy. I'm gonna go watch
you get
some old movies in the cinema.
You guys got my photo from Disney Springs of the AMC at Disney Springs in Disney World that was playing Sonic.
I did. Yeah.
I forget if I got that one. I think, or maybe
Yeah.
Connor sent me a picture of it. I forget.
Sonic and Disney. Honestly, I feel like that is a perfect setup for the next Kingdom Hearts game. Just get Sonic in there. Sonic and Sora. Where's
Yeah,
that?
Sonic is the perfect addition to that world. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know. He's already in. Oh, you know what? He could because if he's in Wreck-It Ralph, so he's already in Disney movies.
there you go. Pretty
Um,
much seals the deal right there. So Lord of the Rings, right?
yeah. The only reason I went on the tangent, sorry, before I forget, was because popcorn's fucking expensive. I think we spent like $25 at Regal just to get a medium or large popcorn.
Yeah.
It's only like $11 at the Picture Show here in Connecticut. and
What?
$25 for a large popcorn.
for popcorn
is
and a
insane.
water. Yeah, it's fucking insane. But
I mean, it sounds
gonna say,
crazy.
like-
You guys are sheltered. Those are city prices. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I was
no,
gonna say
I'll
my
pay
whole
for
point was
whatever for popcorn. It doesn't matter to me. I don't even look at the price when I go to the theater.
Yeah, Connor has no idea what he pays.
I have no idea what the price is.
my point was, like, if there was any place that would have the most expensive popcorn, it would be the AMC at Disney Springs, because you got both the movie theater markup and the Disney markup.
Yeah.
Yes. And did it?
I was unable to check.
Oh. Well, that
We got there
feels like it fell
late
flat a little
and
bit.
had to go to dinner. So
Oh, okay. So
God damn it, Josh.
so you have no evidence to back up your assumption.
no, that's why I said if there would be a place with the most expensive popcorn, that would be a good candidate.
The world
yeah.
may never know.
Yeah. The jury's still out. I would love to know where the most expensive movie theater popcorn exists on this. Maybe there's like a $285,000 bucket of popcorn, but it's all just like diamonds and rubies
Yeah.
with just like 4 pieces of popcorn like at the bottom of the bucket that you got to take out, and
Yeah, you chew on those diamonds
you
until
have
your
to
gums
sift
are
through
bleeding.
it. Yes. Yep. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like that old deal. All right. I don't know. I could. The thing
What do you
is,
guys what so if Lord of the Rings was a Disney property, what kind of Lord of the Rings rides would you guys like?
no. Connor, we've wasted enough goddamn time. We're almost
Yeah, we
50
have.
minutes in. How much of this fucking conversation has been about the fucking movie? How much do you think?
Yeah, this has been a bad.
How
meandering
much?
podcast.
Yeah,
Sorry
it's
about
been
that.
bad. It's been fucking bad.
I think
Because we're just sitting here fucking talking about nothing.
I think
talking
the
about
Battle of
Disney.
Helm's Deep would be a good ride.
All right.
And a ride on the Eagle.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
So what,
Yeah.
what did you think of this Battle of Helm's Deep?
Not as
Or
good.
whatever they called it. It wasn't
Not
called
as
Helm's
well.
Deep
It wasn't
until-
Helm's Deep yet.
It's the
Yeah, exactly.
Hornburg, which Tolkien definitely uses that name in the book.
It did sound familiar, yeah.
Because
I will give-
everything has 5 names in the book.
Yeah, I will say they did their research with the settings and the language used. I will not knock them any points for names or pronunciation or anything. Everything looked like it was right out of the Peter Jackson films. I was actually surprised when they went to Isengard, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess that is close by, and they could go there. And then I was surprised again when Saruman showed up at the end. It's like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense since he wasn't there yet.
Were you even more surprised that Saruman was voiced by Christopher Lee, who's been dead for years?
I was surprised at that. Yes, I was waiting in the credits to see what they did with that, and it's like, oh holy shit, they got him.
Yeah, it's so cool they got him back for that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had, before I even saw the movie, I had heard it's just an unused line from Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, it's.
You know,
What does he
it's
say?
all-
I think what is it?
I don't remember.
He just says something like, "If you should ever need me, your
Oh, yeah.
lordship," or
Yeah.
If you should ever need me, my lord. That's all he says. It's just like one. And then honestly, it feels like the camera lingers on animated Sauron for like 4 more seconds longer than it. I'm like waiting. I'm like, was that the whole line? And then it just ends.
Yep.
I don't know. It just felt a little weird to me. Like, okay, I get that it's Sauron or Saruman. Sorry.
Well,
but-
that's the point. It's like we're gonna linger here because
Here's
this is
the
the one
cameo.
character. Yeah, this is the cameo. This is the one character people know.
yeah.
Because everyone else isn't born yet, and Gandalf can't show up because he's too important. But we'll give him a name drop.
Yeah, we have to give him a name drop.
Yeah.
What's that wizard's name again? I think what they
He
call
has
him
many
Gandalf.
names, but they call him Gandalf.
The thing is like, okay, at least they save it all for the end. But then
Yes.
I kind of felt like because they save it for the end, does it need to be there at all? If you could go through 99% of your movie without any of that shit, then just have some dignity and wrap up the last 1%. The whole thing with the orcs and the ring was enough. That was enough.
Yeah,
That was
that was
actually more than enough.
Yeah.
I liked that whole scene actually.
It was fine.
It felt very. It felt realistic to me. It's like,
I was
there's a
happy to
couple
see the
orcs
orcs. I was happy to see the orcs, but the
there's just a
rings
couple
was
orcs
like
marauding around, and they say something about the Lord wanting rings, and then they just are a small obstacle to a bigger threat, and then the king showing back up again.
No, I think it's
Which
fine.
was also awesome when the king just starts fighting. That I think that was a really good highlight of the movie.
It was. I want to say before we talk about that, because I want to talk about that. Did you catch who voiced the orcs by any chance? The two orcs. It's the voice. Well, I was gonna say the voice actors. It's the actors who played Merry and Pippin.
Really?
What?
Yep, Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan.
Oh, that is a really cool Easter egg.
Yeah. I got a few of those. There's a couple more that I'll throw out there. But anyways, the king. Okay, this is another thing I want to talk about. This is maybe another good segue here. And I get that this conversation has been very all over the place. Like, this has not been going in a linear, coherent fashion, and that's just the way it is right now. So, but the whole thing with the king showing up in the blizzard and like fighting the troll with his fists, and then like the way that leads into him like opening up the fucking door to Helm's Deep, with his bare fucking hands, and then fighting everyone, and then freezing to death, unbent. Obviously, like, yeah, all that stuff is cool as shit. It's maybe I felt like the only sequence in the movie that felt like what I imagine a Lord of the Rings anime to be. And all I'm trying to say is, like, an anime is more than just the way something's drawn. And this is another, like, kind of issue that I had at times throughout this movie. It doesn't mean that all anime are, like, obviously fucking heightened, super exaggerated,
expression,
fight sequences, and like, I don't want to paint with too broad a brushstroke, but it was done in such a way that was a sequence that I feel like you can pretty much only convincingly realize through anime. You know what I mean? Or if you were going to do it through another medium, people would identify that right away as anime inspired. They would be like, oh, that comes from anime. And so, like, watching that sequence, the whole thing where he, like, kicks the horn off the like, just that he's fighting a troll with his bare hands. He's like 9 feet tall. He opens up the fucking gate. He opens up the gate. He just uses his hand. Anyways, that sequence was probably what I felt like was maybe the only, like, 5-minute stretch in the whole 2-hour movie that it really felt like it was Lord of the Rings, the anime, to me. And I that was a great sequence. And then the rest of the movie happened. And it's not to knock it, but, like, in comparison, even the climax of this movie does not reach, like, that high watermark. I don't believe. And
I completely agree.
It feels like a bit of a shame,
Yeah, you're right.
I just don't have much to add. You're absolutely right. I totally agree, and I'm a little disappointed, but I mean, I do want to clarify that overall, I did enjoy the whole movie. Most of these complaints are just gripes about how it could have been better and how it probably should have been better here or there. But overall, I call it a good movie. Just, it's not what you'd expect from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And I'm going to spend most of my time during this discussion complaining and critiquing, but
we're aware.
But also with the caveat that I'm mostly on board with you too, Josh. Like, when I watch this movie, if someone were to be like, "What'd you think?" I would go, "Well, it's not bad," But I just feel like a movie like this should be more than that. It should be. Connor said it was a great way to kill 2 hours. You know, if that's like your
I think
glowing
I said it wasn't a
recommendation.
bad. I think I said it wasn't a bad way to spend.
Okay, right. Not a bad way to spend 2 hours, right? I don't know. And I can't really fault Connor for that either, because even though there's aspects of this movie that I like, there's enough running throughout this movie that I'm kind of, you know, of that opinion too. Like, this isn't a movie that I would really want to even go back and rewatch, unlike the other Lord of the Rings movies. And it's not really fair to compare it to like the Peter Jackson films. But the thing is, I think this movie tries to connect itself to the Peter Jackson films in a way that I don't think does it any favors. And I wanted to bring this up briefly because, Josh, you were saying like the way that this film realizes Peter Jackson's iconography. The Isengard is exactly the same. Edoras looks the same, right? Like it is meant to be living in the Peter Jackson universe. And on the one hand, that makes sense to me. However, I just do feel like to me it's just another bit of like, I don't know. I don't want to call it a missed opportunity because I understand that for the movie-going public, a new Lord of the Rings movie essentially means a continuation of Peter Jackson, because Peter Jackson has put such an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of the global understanding of what Lord of the Rings looks like visually, that to depart from that in a film from Warner Brothers would be like, you know, that would be a risk, right? And at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, but wouldn't it also be like artistic expression, which I feel like this movie is sorely lacking in? It feels like this movie has nothing to say or add. It's just like, here's Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. If it were an anime, there were times when I was watching this movie where I literally felt like I was watching an AI generated film. Where like if you put in on a fucking AI thing, you know, Lord of the Rings anime, there's a pretty good chance that you would get this. And yet this was made by people, which sounds stupid to say, but I think you get my point here. Like,
I think so.
I don't think that this movie takes enough chances or liberties. It doesn't have enough ideas of its own in any way. The way that it looks, the story that it's telling, the way that it does it, it literally feels like it could have just been created by a generator, and it would pretty much be the same. And that's harsh. That's harsh.
That is harsh.
But
I mean,
it literally feels that way to me at times.
it just feels like it's not inspired to me. It doesn't feel like I mean, and again, this is all just my thoughts. I have no idea who the writers of this movie are, who the, you know, director, the illustrators.
I can tell you some of that.
But it just, it doesn't feel inspired. It doesn't feel like it needed to be a thing that exists, I guess. And it doesn't even feel, I don't know, it doesn't even feel like it's they're having fun doing it. Like the only time that there's fun is the, yeah, the old man kicking ass.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You know, okay, there's definitely another great scene I wanted to point to here. There's at least one other one that I thought was pretty exceptional. Like, it kind of stopped me in my tracks. Like, I was watching this movie and I was just like, oh my, you know, not like dramatically, like, oh my God, but I was like,
you dropped your spaghetti.
I was kind of waiting for like something to happen. And here's a moment I want to shout out. I'll draw it back into the positive, and then we'll see where our conversation takes us. So when Wolf attacks Edoras, after he kills the first brother by shooting the arrow through his neck. Pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
We get the scene of everyone fleeing. And the scene where the second brother falls behind on the old horse.
Oh,
And
so
he has to stop and, you know, he like talks to the horse, and the movie devotes a significant amount of time, like in seconds, to like letting that scene unfold and like feel like there's some kind of like acceptance of his impending doom, and like the drawing of the bow, and you know, that was another moment that I felt like took advantage of the anime format, not in the sense of like the crazy action, but in like the stillness.
Quiet emotion.
Yes. That was another moment that stood out to me. I like that one quite a bit.
Is my video frozen for you guys?
It is actually, yeah.
It is. Yeah.
That's weird.
Well,
you
you
hear
look
me
good.
all right.
It is a nice frame to stop on.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
Josh, if you want to leave and come back, you can. Oh, I think he did that.
He may have done that.
All right. Well,
keep talking.
Okay. Anyways, the movie.
Connor, what did you think about our main character, Hera?
Yeah, I liked the little accent you put on her name.
Because it's not Hera.
Good.
I swear to God, if you say Hera, I'm gonna be pissed.
Hera.
Thank you. Thank you. There you go.
Anyways, I do like her. I think she's a decent protagonist. I mean, it's she's very surface level though, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do see into her past, but I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know what the equivalent of like a badass Mary Sue would be, but that's kind of what she is.
Yeah, I think all the characters, like not just her, it's almost like there's equal time devoted to all the characters, and that time is not enough to like get to know anyone in a way where you have an understanding of them beyond the surface level. Like I don't really, it's not that you need this necessarily, but like we don't get any understanding of like why Hera doesn't, is like rejecting the like roles that are being placed on her.
Yeah.
Again, which is fine. Like it's not that you need that, but it kind of feels like if we were given more about it, like you might feel like, oh, okay, like there's more to it than just like, I'm not like that,
What's that character in Lord of the Rings? She goes into battle and what's
Eowyn?
Eowyn, yes. That's like done so much better.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's a whole ass 3-series book, but I mean still I just feel like there was nothing that gave us the big picture here.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, I agree. I think with Eowyn, you see, it's not that like you get more explanation of why Eowyn does what she does, even though you sort of do after the fact, because Gandalf and Aragorn have this whole weird, creepy talk above her unconscious body where it's like, oh, well, it's because she wanted to be married. But anyways, we don't have to talk about that. I'm just saying I still remember that shit. That was weird. But the whole thing, like, I think Eowyn faces a lot more resistance. Like
that's true.
Her father just outwardly tells her like, you can't do this shit. And like there's some of that here, but Hera actually gets a lot of like support, And she is told, like, okay, you can't fight, but Hera's actually not asking to fight. She doesn't want to ride in the battle as a warrior. She's like, oh, I'll just be a messenger because I can ride really fast on my horse.
Yeah.
And she's not even allowed to do that, you know? But she doesn't make too much of a fuss over it. She just kind of does whatever she does anyways, and everyone's kind of just like, oh, yeah, you know, great job.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you know, her father is pretty supportive of her. Yeah,
and
like
her brothers.
And her brothers, yes. Yeah, it's like the only conflict is between her and Wolf, really.
Yeah. Actually, can I change gears a little bit? Okay.
Please.
Wolf. So the movie, the beginning of this movie kind of sets up this whole thing where Helm Hammerhand, the king of Rohan, has to fight. His name is like almost Fucker. Like, you know.
Oh, yeah, Fucker. Yeah. Old Fucker.
Yeah. The king of the Dunlendings, or the lord, or whatever the fuck, you know. The king of Rohan is.
If you're thinking about real tools, here's 5 things I wish I had known before I got into.
Sorry.
Whoa, what's going on over there?
I don't know. You all right over there, Josh? You okay? You just
I was
at YouTube videos on your phone?
Yeah, scrolling through YouTube to see if there's anything I could watch later after the discussion, and accidentally clicked the video by mistake.
That's fine. You know, I didn't mean to, you know, bore you. Or
I wasn't bored. I was dealing with my own attention deficiencies. So
okay. Well, anyways, so here's all I'm trying to say. The two fucking people have to fight, and then Helm Hammerhand, aptly named, just punches him once, and he dies.
Yeah.
And he dies, and then Wolf is like, "You killed my fucking father in front of me. I swear I'm gonna fucking kill your kids, and I'm gonna fucking kill you."
Yeah.
And then Helm Hammerhand is like, "Get this fucking bitch out of my sight. You're banished, by the way. Not only will I not apologize for accidentally killing your father in front of you, but you can also royally suck my dick, and you're not allowed to fucking be here ever again, and you fucking suck, and I hate you." And it's like, listen, I kind of get... I feel like you're supposed to not like Wolf, and then Wolf does a lot of stuff later in the movie that does make you not like him. But all I'm saying is, like, in the beginning, I kind of get where he's coming from, because I think that the king, like, at least owed him an apology.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think
it feels like the movie never acknowledges this.
I mean, he does kind of stand there and be like you all saw, I just punched him. But that's the closest he gets to admitting any kind of fault.
Right. But the thing is like, everyone kind of...
It's like, oh, wait, but aren't you Hammerhands? Like, shouldn't you know?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you know that just punching him might be lethal? Like, you are Hammer. That's
going
your
into
name,
a fist fight with a guy
Hammerhand.
named Hammer Fist?
Yeah.
It's just like... Or Hammerhands? It's just like... What? The guy knew what he was getting into.
Yeah, maybe. I think that the movie could have been more interesting if it kind of like reframed that moment or re-examined it later on.
Yeah.
Because like, we're talking about how the characters don't have a lot of depth. They're not very complicated. And I think that is largely true of the entire cast. And Wolf, I think, could have been more interesting, because I do think that he has that line where he's like, "I'm not the boy you knew, Hera. I'm the man your father made me." You know, that's a good line given what transpires at the beginning of this movie here. And Wolf is like, essentially like, yeah, like, I am the consequence of your father's really fucked up actions. And it just feels like Wolf, who again then goes on to do really fucked up things in the name of that, which feels like it kind of uncomplicates you know, his motivation in a way. because then you kind of are just like, oh yeah, like there are so many moments in the movie where characters are like, you don't have to do this, and he's like, yeah, but I'm gonna. Like, so he does unequivocally suck. But no other character is ever just like, Wolf, you did kind of have a point. Or like, Wolf, I'm sorry that my dad punched your dad so hard that he died. Like, why couldn't just one other character acknowledge that was fucked up? Because it just feels like the whole movie is trying to brush it under the rug. The whole scene of the king dying and doing all these heroic things, and you're just meant to be like, man, that was a great king.
Yeah,
he wasn't. He fucking just killed that guy in cold blood, and he didn't fucking feel any remorse.
There's a part of this where I feel similarly to how I feel about the Chibnall era of Doctor Who. Once again, I'll bring this up. Where I appreciate that they don't lean into these tropes that are everywhere, like, oh, the hard ass dad who is, not letting his daughter do what she wants, and also is, punishing the fighter who has no remorse. Like he could been a stern father figure, and it would have made sense that he would lash out and then not want to own up to what he did. So like I like always appreciate like the absence of those, but you have to have something in place of that. Like you have to have something in place of those tropes. Like you can't just like remove a thing and be like, oh, well, I'm gonna avoid this because it's played out. Well, you got to play something. You got to like there has to be some sort of character behind the mask here. And it doesn't seem like that was that happened. So
I wonder if it would have been more interesting if the traitor among the lords was motivated by that particular fight and agreed with Wolf at first. That could have made this whole conversation moot in a quick instant if he just mentioned like, oh yeah, like I didn't respect your father, but I don't respect a king who just kills dissenters in cold blood.
Yeah,
give us something. Fucker, or whatever the fuck his name was, instigated the whole fight.
Yes. Even though he was a fucker.
Right. But he didn't deserve to die.
Yeah.
Like, Josh, I think that would have been a really elegant and easy fix.
Yeah.
That would have given just a little bit more to chew on. So I think that's a pretty good like potential fix. I like that because you wouldn't have to change anything. The movie could play out exactly the same, but instead that guy just has one line of dialogue that's not there. I think it would have made a big difference.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because that's something that I don't think it was just me given this conversation, but I'm kind of just wondering, like, did you have that sense watching this movie as well, that the way that scene plays out, or like the non-reaction to it in some ways is maybe a little like there's a bit of a disconnect? Because I actually felt sympathetic toward Wolf up until like the murder and the sacking. Yeah,
a little bit. I mean, for a while he just feels like a vengeful like former banished, I don't want to say prince because he's not a prince, but like son of a lord. Duke's son or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's trying to do
kind of like
they're trying to do Zuko and
Zuko or early Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
But I started losing sympathy for him when he started getting really possessive of Hera, because I can't do the rolled H that you guys were doing.
No, we're just gonna say Hera. It's fine.
I'm just gonna
we can't actually do that either.
But yeah, no. Once you start getting really possessive and borderline rapey, that's kind of what I was like. Okay, he's definitely the villain at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think that all happened before the murder and pillaging.
Yeah, that's like when he captures her, or
Right.
when she's kidnapped and yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, and I agree. Like it's not that it's not that anything that he does there is like, oh yeah, that's fine. But it kind of feels like I feel like I understood the character, and yes, there's a little bit of like we see that a lot given like the sort of sick culture that we inhabit, because men do express these feelings, especially through the internet. Anyways, not trying to draw like a straight line here, but all I'm saying is like characters like Wolf exist in media already, and a lot of times it's meant to be kind of like a commentary or a reflection of that. And I felt like even so, not as a defense here, but I felt like I felt like just zooming in and analyzing Wolf's character, as it pertains to this story, I felt like it was consistent in terms of like his insecurity, because he expresses that at the very night where his father like presents him as a potential suitor, and Hera is like, well, we don't have to do this arranged marriage just because your father wants us to. And he's like, well, what if I want to? What if I've always loved you for my whole life, and this is exactly what I want, and this is why I went along with it, and we could have like a beautiful life together. Like in that moment, he feels rejected, and he feels like kind of disgusting, I think. Like he is like, what's wrong with me? Like the reason that Hera doesn't want me is because something's wrong with me. And of course that's not true. That's his own twisted psyche and skewed perspective on the matter. But we see how that carries over into this moment when he has like much more power, and the way that he abuses it, but it's coming from the same place of like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you that I love you, and like I am deeply fucked up,
Yep.
And so like I felt like from like scene to scene, and again, and just in terms of like Wolf as a character, I was like, that all tracks. And that makes Wolf interesting. Not that you support his actions, but it makes him as a character interesting. And then I guess it's like, that he's going to take it too far. So even when I was saying like, oh, the whole murder thing makes him unsympathetic, it's like, well, of course it does. His whole character is set up to take it too far, because the moment his father dies, he swears like a fucking murder oath on the whole family. He's like, I'm going to kill your fucking kids, and you're going to watch, and then I'm going to kill you. And I was like, man, I kind of get where he's coming from. And then he does it, and it's like, oh, hold up, buddy, So I don't know. Maybe I'm losing the plot a little bit here. But all I mean is that I think that the character of Wolf could have been carried through the movie, like the latter half of the movie, maybe in a more interesting way. But all that happens is he just gets pushed progressively more and more into a corner that makes him act out more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And he destroys every opportunity that's given to him. And on the one hand, I do kind of appreciate that. Connor was saying like, hey, do you get Kylo Ren vibes from this guy? A little bit. And I have to tell you, in the sequel trilogy, I do kind of think it probably would have been better if Ben Solo wasn't redeemed, because I don't like the way that things happen in The Rise of Skywalker. So,
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe this is a bit of a look into that alternate universe, because I have to tell you, I don't really like Wolf either. So it feels like there has to be a middle ground between, oh, you're evil at first, but then you're redeemed and now you're good. And
Yeah.
oh, you're evil at first, and then like you just are evil and you fucking suck, by the way, and then you died.
Another thing I appreciate with their relationship, Hera and Wolf's, is that again, this is like
Heavy
a
air
trope
quotes there.
removed. It's the whole like, oh well, she does have feelings for him or does want to be with him in some way, or I mean, although she is friendly with him and does believe him worthy of redemption, like she never reveals like her deep down romantic feelings to him. And like so, I mean, again, like I'm happy that this film is steering clear of those obvious ways to go, but yeah, there's not anything, and just about Hera's character, like not being led by her love interest. That's refreshing, you know, like that's like that's a refreshing take on this kind of character type, but again, it's just that there's not enough to replace it for me. But you know, I do appreciate kind of Wolf's motivation, even if I wish it was a bit beefier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. I like the line, talking about how Hera is not like led by or defined by like her love interest. When she shows up wearing the bridal gown at the end to confront Wolf, and Wolf is like, what sick joke is this? You show up wearing a wedding dress. Who are you betrothed to or whatever? And she says, death.
Yeah.
That part was pretty metal.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was rad.
How long did it take you to figure out her, I don't know, lady in waiting? I don't know the exact term, but the older woman was a shield maiden.
I didn't figure that out.
It took me like most of the movie to figure that out.
I didn't even really think about that, honestly, at all. But you're right, Josh.
And then that old woman who was hanging out at Helm's Deep, whose name I can't remember before Helm's Deep. I thought she was a villain or like related to Sauron in some way, but no, she's just some crazy old lady who just suddenly was friends with them.
I thought you were talking about. Wait.
Okay, so the first one I was talking about was like her attendant.
Oh yeah, I actually know her name because I don't know why I remember it. Yeah. It was Olwen. Yes.
Olwen. Yes.
Okay.
The second woman I was talking about is the old one. Is like the old hunchback woman who looks like the.
Yeah, she's like
the woman who poisons old Snow White.
Yeah, I had it backwards. I thought you were talking about the person who the very old woman who was watching over the Hornburg, and I thought you were saying she was a shield maiden, and I was like, oh, I didn't think
no.
at all.
No, she was just some creepy old woman who was like possessive of that wedding dress, and that was probably poisoned at some point.
Well, right, but what if she was a shield maiden because she has all of these heirlooms of.
And was defending this old citadel.
Shield maiden. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that's what
I was alluding to that, but now that we're bringing it up, maybe. I just thought she was a crazy old woman and thought she was going to be a villain when she first showed up. But then, like 2 scenes later, she's literally just like they're one of their closest confidants, which is a little jarring. But
yeah, it does sort of feel like at the end we kind of get like the coming together of like women to kind of overcome this threat, and especially women who might have been like overlooked, because 2 of them are literally old women, and one of them is Olwen, the shield maiden. Her glory days are supposed to be behind her, and yet they kind of all rally together. She's the one who throws Hera the shield to finally kill Wolf. I like all that. I think it was cool how the film like kind of ultimately centers women, but not in a way that I think is like performative. Like you get so many moments of like intense masculinity with the king and the fighting and like the film makes a lot of room for that already, and yet like the climax of the film, that centers around like these women kind of coming together to defeat this fucking possessive incel little bastard. So there's something there, I think, a little bit. Yeah.
Made for the for the incel generation. Hopefully, some of these guys can take a lesson. Just don't be like Wolf.
Yeah. Don't be like Wolf. You know what I was thinking is, I don't know. I was kind of two minds of this, but so when Helm Hammerhand is fighting on the bridge, like Wolf is on the other end of the bridge, and part of his claim, part of his like vendetta is like, oh, once I kill your sons, only then will I have you die. And I kind of thought that Wolf should have confronted the king on the bridge. But, like, even then, like, that Helm Hammerhand would fucking break this dude in two. Yeah. I kind of felt like maybe he should have tried to fight him, and then he would have had to retreat. And then the scene plays out exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I get why it doesn't. Because, later on, the general who, like, follows Wolf is like, oh, you're just a coward, and he is. Mm-hmm. So It makes sense that he doesn't. But you also could be a coward if you try to do something and run away. So I felt like because it's, like, the death scene of Helm Hammerhands, it could have sort of mirrored, like, the whole fight with the king and his father from the beginning of the movie, and yet obviously that doesn't happen. And I that was just another thing. Here I am pointing at things where I'm like, oh, maybe this could have happened. I don't know. That's just something I was thinking.
Yeah.
What else? You want to talk about something you liked, Josh? Was there like something else about this movie maybe that you thought it did well or you enjoyed?
I mean, we already talked about the King's last stand. One thing I thought of a little while ago, I want to circle back on real quick. When we were talking about Hera's free nature, how she's kind of rebelling against her position, but doesn't really want to be like married off and that sort of thing. As we were discussing that, it reminded me a lot of Brave, which I just watched last week for the first time. Didn't realize how long that was on my watch list because it was dedicated to Steve Jobs, who had recently passed away when that movie came out.
Yeah, may he rest in peace.
But
no jobs, no hope, no cash. Kevin Bacon, please don't die.
Oh man, it took me a second to realize, like, oh, you mean like the names? Okay, yeah.
Sorry, Josh. Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I was just saying, like,
Steve Jobs, Bob Hope, Johnny Cash.
Thank you. I did get that far.
Kevin Bacon's not dead yet, right? Because
he's not dead yet.
That was part of the joke.
That's gonna be a sad day when he dies because you can't say that joke anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, and people are gonna come out of the woodwork, crawling out of the woodwork to be like, finally, no Bacon.
They're gonna have to replace him with somebody who else has a funny last name that we can use.
No one else. No one else has a funny last name anymore.
I sure hope. My
God.
Lance Bass doesn't die.
Anyway,
because then there wouldn't be any more bass.
Yeah, to fish.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, I've made the connection between the two characters of crap. What's the princess's name in Brave? Is it Merida?
Merida. Yeah.
And Hera. They're just almost exactly the same character type, having the same issue of they don't want to get married. It's just their solutions of how that goes about, which one is fighting in a civil war and the other is turn her mother into a bear. Just very different, diverging paths there. But circling back to your more recent question of things I liked about the movie, it's been a month, so that my struggle to come up with anything isn't
And
an
it's
indictment on the movie.
been a while since Josh watched the movie.
Um,
Been a fucking while. It's been a while.
I will say, the scene with the elephant stuck
Yeah.
with me. I wasn't sure how I felt about it the entire way through, because of the aforementioned animation issues. But it did seem like a very Lord of the Rings, like, here's an action sequence kind of thing. It felt like it went on a little longer than it should have. But otherwise, it felt like a decent Lord of the Rings action sequence. The way it ended, though, was rather disturbing, with the swamp monster, which I think is supposed to be the same creature or type of creature that was at the entrance to the Mines of Moria.
Yes, it is.
The way it ate the elephant was just really disturbing in every sense of the word.
Yeah. Like, it should be chewing on it, right? It just
Yeah.
swallows it whole.
Right, this is a massive creature, and obviously the elephant's a massive creature, and the squid thing didn't seem all that massive, so it was really like boa constrictor octopus versus elephant, which is very weird. So
Yeah.
and no one says anything about it. It's just I think Hera just kind of witnesses this, and then she gets kidnapped, and nobody ever mentions it again.
Right. Yeah, it's like sort of attributed to her cleverness, because the other characters are like,
Don't go in the
oh,
forest.
you know, doesn't she know where she's going? And they're kind of like, yeah, she does. Like, they realize she has this plan for the Watcher to eat the like, how do you even know that's going to happen? How do you know, like, that this was weird. I am kind of with you on it, like, being something that you liked. Like, it was entertaining, but it also feels a little bit like Lord of the Rings kaiju fight, like who would
Yeah.
win, an elephant or Watcher in the water? And it's like, what kind of question is that? And why are we answering it in this movie?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just weird. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, what else did I like about the movie? The I did like the Hera's attendant, whose name you said, and now I can't remember again.
Olwen.
Olwen, yeah, she was a good character. She always seemed to have a level head on her, and was pretty much a badass when she needed to be. Yeah, no, the oh, and the squire guy, who I couldn't tell if he was just like really young and or short human, or actually a hobbit.
Oh, I didn't think about that
Oh,
at all.
yeah.
I kind of thought he was just a young, short human.
I think he was supposed to be, but I leaned over. I went to go see the movie with Ted, and I leaned over like on his third or fourth appearance. It's like, is he supposed to be like a hobbit? Because he looks like he could be a hobbit.
He really gave me Sam Gamgee vibes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess he was wearing shoes, so it couldn't be a hobbit.
True.
Good point.
But I did like his scenes where he's just kind of bumbling around at first, but slowly gets more and more into his element, and even unwittingly helps Hera like realize that there's this traitor among the other lords, and figuring out exactly who it is. Helping all the people escape.
The Hornburg.
Hornburg. God damn it, I can't remember it.
Yeah.
He was a good character.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
you know, I agree. Like, for side characters, yeah. As we talk about it, it kind of makes me feel like part of the problem I think we keep sort of like revolving around is like in this movie, it almost feels like every character is a side character, even the main characters, and like Hera and Wolf get about as much development as a character like Olwen, um, and not much more, and so yeah. Anyways, I won't harp on it. Just a couple other things as I'm kind of like looking through my notes here. Talking about the king, Helm Hammerhand. I kind of had this lumped up with like things that I feel like he does that are I don't know, like bad is too strong a word. But like, he has questionable actions, and I feel like the movie does kind of acknowledge this one a bit. When they're sort of preparing for battle, there's this other character, Freylaf, who's Hera's cousin and the king's nephew. And he's saying like that they should abandon Edoras and call Gondor for aid, which is sort of a fun reversal because, of course, in Lord of the Rings, Gondor calls Rohan for aid. The beacons are lit, So here they're like, we should call Gondor because, Gondor has like power and like resources and stuff because it's like fucking 200 years in the past. But the king's too proud to do it, and so he dismisses the cousin. The cousin has to like leave in shame.
Oh yeah.
That's
remembering that now.
Like that's a small thing, but I do think it's something that the movie does to sort of be like, hey, this Helm Hammerhand isn't only just a perfect paragon of virtue, but again, like, even though it has this scene, I just don't feel like anything is ever like capitalized on or returned to. Like after this scene, once he dies, it's pretty much just like, man, and he was the best person ever. And it's like, well, what about whatever? So there's that. Anything else? Let's see. You want to talk about the end with okay, the like sort of the connections, the reveal of the name of Helm's Deep, Saruman, Gandalf. We kind of talked about some of that, but
yeah, I was about to say the cousin coming back with the king's armor.
Yeah.
I just realized my camera stopped again.
It did.
But the when Hera goes to the big white eagle, who I think is actually, is it supposed to be one of the eagles from The Hobbit? I think.
Maybe.
Like Gawain or something like that.
Yeah, Wayne.
Wayne's World. Yep. Go on, Josh.
She gives him Helm's armor.
Gwahir. It was Gwahir.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And he brings it to the cousin, who then dons the armor and shows up very much like what's his name in the Two Towers?
Yeah.
I guess Gandalf. Gandalf's when it shows up as the cavalry in Two Towers.
Yeah, but then in Return of the King, I thought you were talking about the King of Rohan, which was fuck. What was that guy's name? Anyways, go on. I'll think of it.
I'm just thinking it's another good reference to the Peter Jackson movies, but also it's just like a weird mini redemption for the honor of the cousin, who was kind of banished because the king didn't want to hear any dissenting opinions.
Yeah.
I'm not certain why the cousin got to become king, but at the same time, it's like one of those stupid royal lineage bullshit things.
Yeah. You're right. By the way...
See the peasant in Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Was it Was it because there's Eomer, then there's Eowyn, and then
Yep.
and then the king is
It's not an E.
it's not. Oh my god! And then the thing is like I'm like I know the king of Gondor is Denethor, because it's like Denethor and then the other guy, and now I can't think of his name and it's driving me crazy. Josh, are you looking it up?
Yes, I am. Theoden.
Oh my god!
Theoden. I can't believe we're blanking on that.
I know, right, Connor? Theoden,
I could have told you that.
right? Connor, you know
I knew that. Yeah.
Theoden.
If I had been listening, I would have said Theoden.
Theoden King.
Theoden King.
Man, that's embarrassing. And I started this conversation off saying, like, check out our Lord of the Rings cred. I'm wearing a Nazgul shirt.
Wow.
What about that? You know?
That's cool.
Got my Nazgul shirt on today. So.
All right, you guys ready to wrap it up?
We're about to wrap it up. Let me just shoot off a couple quick things here, and then we can give our closing thoughts. I wanted to mention this movie was directed by Kenji Kamiyama, most well known for directing Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which I've watched both seasons of that anime, and then there's like a whole bunch of movies and OVAs and shit I never watched. But that anime was good. Watch that on Adult Swim. Pretty interesting that he's directing this.
Okay. Sorry, which anime? I was still looking through
Ghost in the Shell standalone complex.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that one yet.
Yeah. And then I wanted to mention, okay, so we were talking about Helm Hammerhand. He's voiced by Brian Cox. That was a name that was familiar to me. I'm like, where have I seen that guy? He was Agamemnon, King Agamemnon, in the movie Troy with Brad Pitt. If you ever seen that one,
he's in a lot of things. I think.
He's in a lot of things, but that's a thing he's famous for being in. And then, okay, here's the one that kind of surprised me. So the narrator for the movie, I thought was Galadriel, because Galadriel is the one who's narrating the Peter Jackson films.
Right.
But the narrator here is actually Eowyn. I only realized that afterwards in the credits.
Oh.
And
I did not pick up on that.
They got the actor for Eowyn from the Peter Jackson films to be Eowyn, Miranda Otto. So she kind of reprises her role in a strange way.
Oh, sorry. By the way, Wolf's father's not named Fucker. He's Freka. Oh,
really? I literally thought it was just Fucker, Josh.
Yeah, no, I'm still like scrolling through the different Kings of Rohan, and on Hammerhand's page, it says Helm's fatal blow to Freka as the screenshot title.
You know what I kind of was wondering? Because Helm Hammerhand sounds like such a anime bullshit name.
Yep.
But then, of course, we get the reveal, like, oh, Helm's Deep, named after Helm Hammerhand. I was kind of wondering, is there like some weird bit of Tolkien lore where he just like scribbled Helm Hammerhand on a note somewhere?
Probably.
Because, I don't know. Or is Helm's Deep literally just referring to like a helmet, not a person?
I think deep is like, as in like where he's buried. I don't know.
I'm just
English things.
I'm just wondering, like, does
also
any of this come from Tolkien, or is this stuff that's just kind of like made up to fit into the Tolkien?
No, yeah. Tolkien totally wrote the bit about Helm's Deep being named after Helm Hammerhead.
Yeah, I think this is all working within that framework.
I'm actually looking at Freylof Hilda's son, the cousin page at the moment.
Yeah.
And according to the Lord of the Rings Online, there's a tapestry depicting Freylof defeating Wolf. So, I guess I don't know how closely the Lord of the Rings Online stuck to Tolkien's canon, but according to that continuity, the cousin defeated Wolf, not Hera.
It's really funny to me that there's got to be a whole contingent of Lord of the Rings online nerds when this movie came out who are just like, huh, well, that's not how it went down. If you reference the tapestries in Lord of the Rings Online from 2008, you'll clearly see that it was Freyalaf who defeated Wolf in their final confrontation.
That's how history was written, but in reality, it was what's her face?
Thank you. What's her face? Thank
Kiara.
You. Huh. So.
Well, we could sit here and read Wikipedia all night, let's
all right.
So let's
go around.
And
let's go around and give some of our final thoughts. Go around and get some of our final thoughts.
Come on.
Go around and get our final thoughts. Josh, we're going to start with you.
I was going to say the Lord of the Rings wiki I'm on has Hera listed as Helm's daughter. The link I clicked specifically said Helm's unnamed daughter. So really Hera is the only addition that this movie gave. In the Tolkien continuity of Lord of the Rings, which is weird to clarify as, she's just Helm's daughter. That's all I'll say.
Well, they took some liberties in this movie, I can tell you that much.
Yes.
All right. Connor, would you like to start us off? What did you think about this movie? And give us your rating.
It's fuck, my microphone is see, I still don't know if this is a good microphone or the bad microphone.
You'll be just fine. It's probably the bad one, but it doesn't matter now.
Anyways, the movie was okay. I like I said, it wasn't a bad way to kill 2 hours. I enjoyed parts of it. But it never really pulled me in, unfortunately, which is, I don't know, really probably the first time that's happened with the Lord of the Rings piece of media or something like from that world so far. Obviously, once we watch The Rings of Power and the Hobbit movies, maybe that'll change. But so it was disappointing. I appreciate a lot of what it's trying to do, and I think Connor's right in that if it had a bigger budget or more time put into it, maybe it could have been something special. But we didn't reach those heights. So I don't know. I'm probably going to give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Shit. Josh, do you want to go next or me?
I'll go. I thought it was a decent movie, but like we were harping on, could have been a lot better. Like I said earlier, the world building, or rather the attention to detail of the world that it's set in, names, appearances, all that, A+. The cameos when they were done were acceptable, really well done. Really, it's the name drop of Gandalf is the only one that really bothered me. Is like, did they have to shoehorn that in that way? But overall, the story was okay, but the animation is where, surprisingly, it really suffered. It could have done with a little more editing. In some instances, it could have been consistent with how smooth or I don't know what the opposite term would be, aggressive it would be with the animation. Every frame of that movie is a piece of art, but they're not put together in a way that flows as well as they could have. If it had done so, maybe it would have ranked higher, but I do agree with Connor's 5.5 here. I might go like a 5.7, but that's maybe a 6 if I was to rewatch it right now. It's losing a bit of points for me just from the amount of time that has passed since I watched the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. think those are my thoughts.
Wow. I kind of get the feeling from what we've discussed here, we probably all would agree on this. And I don't know if this is a hot take in the Lord of the Rings animation community, but I think this is easily the worst Lord of the Rings animation we watched. Like, both Rankin Bass films. No, both Rankin Bass films and the Ralph Bakshi film, I think, were better than this.
I think easily. For me, easily.
In my opinion, yeah.
You're welcome to that opinion. I'm still not a fan of that rotoscope monstrosity.
Hey, but at least it was people in those monkey masks, you know?
And it was just way more exciting.
Well, okay. I guess maybe that's how I'm... But I really do think out of the other animated movies we talked about, the Bakshi films, and both Rankin Bass films, the Hobbit and Return of the King, I think all of those are better. And I know that those movies kind of each have their own flaws, but they feel charming, you know? And I think that maybe that has to do with the passage of time. It's weird to think about, but you know, there might be someone watching the War of the Rohirrim in 2060, and they're just like, man, they don't make them like they used to, you know? Just look at that digital fire effect they were using back in the day. You know, that really makes me feel nostalgic. You know, like, sometimes I do think it comes down to when you experience something and the context you experience something. And I guess I'm willing to admit that. And also that necessitates, here's me watching this movie in the modern day when it came out. And yeah, I don't think it's very good. It's obvious kind of what I have problems with. And I do think that the animation itself is one of the biggest problems. There's like two core problems. One is the way the movie looks, and one is the plot. And if they put in like all their points into one or the other, incredible animation and bad plot, or incredible plot and bad animation, either one of those, I would have accepted and been like, damn, 7.5, pretty good. But it has neither, you know? It's like, it just takes this like really non-committal bunt to just knock the ball like fucking 4 feet in front of itself and then try to run to fucking first base and get you know, fucking out anyways. Yeah, you know what's funny though is after I said all that, I still don't think I would give this movie a 5 point anything. I think it's really funny. I think it's really funny that you guys are on that, and I'm gonna give it a 6.
Wow.
Yeah, if I had just watched it yesterday, I probably would also be somewhere in the 6s, but I just don't remember enough of it at the moment. That's why I said I think it suffers from my score suffers from the passage of time in this instance.
Hey.
Yeah, I could have gone lower, but
yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh on it, you know.
Yeah, no, I did enjoy the movie.
Yeah. It was pleasant enough.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with it. Well, there's nothing wrong with holding the opinions that you hold. We all agree. Yes. We've been talking for almost the last 2 hours. We pretty much all agree with what's wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
It's just to like what degree do those things matter to us? You know?
Totally.
Right.
This has been sort of an interesting exercise in like film criticism for us in a way, because usually I don't know, sometimes we watch something, we might not all hold that opinion, or like or the ways that those things matter to us will be different. You know, we recently discussed Sonic 3, and I gave that like a 6.2, even though I said I enjoyed it, you know. Josh was like a 9 something. Right, yeah.
I went and saw that movie twice.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. It's funny to think about how all those things line up and stack against each other. I have to say, I enjoyed the Sonic movie more, and I had this fucking guy, next to me talking to my ear the whole movie. Like
Yes,
I
yes.
still like the Sonic movie more
Yeah.
because the
It's like I was
Sonic
watching with someone.
movie made me feel something, and this
Yeah.
movie just barely stirred an emotion in me, except for maybe
Yes.
2 scenes that we discussed.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
The second time I watched it, I was with my cousin who had never seen the first 2 movies. And I was explaining all the parts that weren't straight out of Sonic Adventure 2 to him.
Nice.
So now you were the guy in the theater talking the whole time, huh?
No, I was not being super loud about it. I was like leaning over to whisper to him.
All right.
And that's his dad. He's also like a cop, and he kind of adopted him in the first movie.
Dude, it was so funny when because like I came back. I literally feel like I'm 9. I come back home. My wife is like, "How was the Sonic movie? Like, did you have fun with your friends, champ? How was the And I'm just like trying to explain to her. I was like, "Oh yeah, so Tom Marsden, she's like, "Oh yeah, from Westworld." I'm like, "So Tom Marsden is Sonic's dad?" And she's like, "Hold on." Hold on. I'm like, "Not really. Like his surrogate father." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Why does he
adopted
need
dad.
a surrogate father?" Anyways, it was like a whole deal.
Yeah.
It's just really funny that you mentioned that.
It's a weird relationship they have when you think about it.
Yep.
But
And I'm still freaking out about the after credits scene with fucking Amy and Metal Sonic. So
yeah, I know.
I
know.
I gotta tell you, whatever that movie is, it's probably gonna be better than War of the Rohirrim. Sonic
And-
already probably better.
Oh
than War
yeah, definitely. I mean, and I have actually exclusive news here. I just saw that the voice actress for Amy has been revealed. Do you want to know who it is?
Is it someone from Doctor Who?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. No, then I don't.
It
who
is Roseanne.
and that's how we know he's a little shit.
Roseanne Barr.
He's full of shit.
I don't know, Josh. Wouldn't this be the time you strike while the iron's hot? She
Yeah.
just came out with a very influential song. This
debut-
made waves.
Her debut rap song. Josh, have you heard that?
No, I have not.
No.
And I'd probably
Get
gonna
on
keep
it.
it that way.
Get on it. You have to get on it. That's
It's
what we're going
called-
to talk about next time.
It's called Daddy's Home.
Next time we're going to be talking about the first 2 chapters of The Left Hand of Darkness.
That's right.
So wait, I want to see if Josh can put this together. So the rap song is called Daddy's Home. Do you have any guesses for who Daddy is referring to?
I don't want to guess. I want
All
to
right.
talk about the next book that we're going to be reading on our book reading podcast.
All right, because it's not John Goodman. That's for sure.
No, Josh is right. This is a podcast where we read books. I mean, chapter is in our name.
It's
For
true.
goodness
Surprise those
sake.
just joining us and sitting through this movie and Disney World conversation for the
Well,
last
you
2
guys-
hours. We're a book podcast.
Oh no, you
technically.
guys got to realize that the other half is just as important. The chump part. It's a big
guess you're
part
right.
of our identity.
I
so
guess you're right. We're 50-50.
you gotta
Half
live
chapter,
with it, people.
half jump.
Half chapter, half chumps.
So should we read 3
Anyways.
chapters?
Anyways, guys, if you like what you heard, and I'm sure you did, you can head over to we are on all kinds of platforms these days on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. We're at Chapter Chumps on all 3 platforms. And yeah, you can go to youtube.com / corrupted TV, but TEEVEE spelled TEEVEE again. And you can watch this in video form. You can see Josh's cool lightsaber in action if you want to tune in. It was pretty rad. If you're feeling generous, please leave us a nice rating and 5-star a nice review and 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
And if
but
you're not
most-
feeling generous, just
Yeah, you
Don't
can blow us off. It's fine. You can fuck off. We won't mind. I mean, I will take a day and be a little sad about it, but I'll get over it.
yeah,
Um,
live your life.
Yeah, exactly. But that's about it. And most importantly, folks, until next time.
Nice. Get ready for Left Hand of Darkness.
I am your father. That's the guy from Star Wars.
Kiadi Mundi.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it. Oh, Josh died.